Right now on the National Weather Desk, Ernesto gets stronger. The storm lashes Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands with strong winds and heavy rain.
Bermuda will have to be on the lookout for this storm because they are in that cone right now.
Debbie cleanup. People in South Carolina are still picking up the pieces following the tropical storm.
It was like a flooding river.
We'll take a closer look at some of the high-tech tools used to help forecast and understand hurricanes.
This is essentially a weather balloon in reverse.
The impact the relentless summer heat can have on your mental health.
Changes in appetite and mainly loss of interest in activities.
And the armyworm invasion taking place right now along many southern lawns.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Later this morning, Tropical Storm Ernesto should strengthen into a hurricane. Here's a look at conditions right now on St. Thomas and the U.S. Virgin Islands. You can see the wind blowing the trees, kind of like through all that fog. Tropical storm conditions, including torrential rainfall, are expected to continue here and in Puerto Rico over the next few days. And the storm could be in Bermuda by the weekend. Florida meteorologist Lorna Lesky is tracking Ernesto for us this morning.
Winds are at 70 miles per hour right now. We'll put our track on the storm. It's going to head north, likely becoming a Category 1 hurricane, maybe by the end of the, likely by the end of the day today. I'd say maybe even later on this morning. Again, winds are sustained at 70. It's going to continue to strengthen, potentially briefly even becoming a Category 3 hurricane when it's a little southwest of Bermuda. That's Bermuda right there, that little speck. And then as it continues to move north into some of the colder waters, it weakens, but Bermuda will have to be on the lookout for this storm because they are in that cone right now, likely going to be dealing with some kind of impact from this. So tropical storm warning still in effect across parts of Puerto Rico and the offshore waters there.
And hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses are already without power in Puerto Rico. The island's power grid is still being repaired following Hurricane Maria in 2017. Sherelle Hubbard shows us how people on the island are getting ready for up to 10 inches of rain and those powerful winds.
In Puerto Rico, people get in line at a gas station as they brace for Ernesto.
I'm making the normal preparations, filling up with gas. I'm buying a small jug of water. I don't think it'll be like Maria. The thing is that Maria brings back unpleasant memories, but I don't think it'll be as bad as Maria was. So we're preparing ourselves with the most essential things.
Forecasters warn Ernesto could reach hurricane strength early Wednesday when it tracks just north of the island, which is now under a tropical storm warning. The storm's sustained winds increased from 20 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour over a 9-hour period from Tuesday morning to Tuesday afternoon.
And even if it's not a hurricane, you get scared that the power is going to go out with the kids. You don't know when it's going to come back, you know? That scares you.
Meteorologists say Ernesto could undergo rapid intensification, which happens when a storm's wind speeds increase by 35 miles per hour in 24 hours or less, fueled by warm ocean water and upper-level winds.
There is also a risk of severe thunderstorms in the Midwest today. Large hail, damaging winds, and a tornado are possible in Kansas City, Omaha, Lincoln, Nebraska as well. There's a slightly lower risk over much larger areas from eastern Idaho to western Illinois and North Dakota to North Texas as well. And extreme heat is still very much an issue from Texas all the way to Florida. 51 million people there are under heat alerts, including excessive heat warnings along large portions of the Gulf Coast. It will feel like up to 110 degrees in many places. Folks in South Carolina, though, are cleaning up and trying to get back to normal following Tropical Storm Debbie. Webb Wright reports how one woman is trying to really stay positive throughout this cleanup process.
I walked out the front door and there was nothing but water. It was up on my porch. It was coming in my laundry room in the back of the house. It was like a flooding river.
A Thursday night Janice Porter would like to forget. Her daughter bringing first responders to her rescue.
It was just terrifying. The sound of it, the roar of it.
As the flooding continued into Friday night.
We had a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning. It didn't breach again into my house.
But her car, a casualty of the rising floodwaters.
That fluffy mud, stinky stuff was all in my car. If you sat on the seat, the water was squishing out.
Even her picnic table was not safe.
It was sitting straight up in the middle of the road. I'll tell you, I don't know how, because that table is so heavy. Like I told you, it takes 2 grown men to pick it up. That's how fast that water was.
But when things were at their lowest, Janice was able to use her faith and a little Bob Marley to hold things together.
And I keep that sign by the door to remind myself, you know, that through the grace of God, everything will be okay. And the brick with the angel on it, my son-in-law a few months ago was cleaning up around the tree back there, and he found that. So I've been keeping that there too.
As she seeks help recovering from this storm, she also worries about the next one.
And I've lost a child, and I've lost a husband, but that was some kind of fear, to know that there was nothing you could do. There was nothing you could do, and the water's just rising. It was scary.
And turning to California, where survivors of the park fire are slowly getting things together as they look to rebuild their lives, including a man whose dream of a mountain home was on the path to becoming true until the fire wiped that out. Muna Sadiq has the story.
There was wind forecasted. I just thought, I think this might be it. This could be the summer that Cohasset burns.
Austin Peterson says he was finally living out his dream of having a place in the mountains, making a home in Cohasset with a 6-year-old daughter.
We camped out in the front yard a few times in a tent, and that's one of our things that we like to do. My vision was coming to reality.
On July 24th, that vision came to a halt. The park fire leveling his mobile home and burning through all his tools and some music equipment. He says it's a loss that understandably took some time to process.
Realizing that I don't have a home. I don't have a place to go home to at the end of the day, or a place for my daughter to come home to after school.
Austin is fundraising on GoFundMe with plans to eventually build his own home in Cohasset.
It's a community I want to continue to be a part of. And
days ago, receiving a trailer from someone who lost his home in the campfire 6 years ago.
He said, "I want to pass it along to you. I heard that you lost your home." All of a sudden, it was like, wow, people really care.
He's now looking for a spot to place the trailer, but says he hopes he can pass it on when he's done.
Well, this week marks 20 years since Hurricane Charlie made landfall as a Category 4 storm in Port Charlotte, Florida. Even though it's described as a compact hurricane, meteorologist Evan Chick-Vera explains why size is not the deciding factor in determining a storm's strength.
Back in 2004, Hurricane Charlie made landfall as a Category 4 storm at Port Charlotte. It was supposed to be a Category 2 storm, making landfall closer to Tampa, but a shift at the end of strengthening made this a very devastating storm. Now, this one, size-wise, was pretty small. And I had somebody ask me, I said, okay, does it matter the size of the storm? Is that what makes it strong? And actually, no, it's not. In fact, this is a look at a rough idea of the size of Charlie, okay? It was not a very large storm. It was small. It was compact. It's very fast-moving, very powerful winds at landfall. Katrina, which is just a storm I'm using to compare because Katrina was massive, nearly 500 miles across, and it was large, it was slow moving. Both storms were very impactful for different reasons. So the size is not what matters. As a hurricane gets its strength and intensity, its rating, if you will, based off of wind speed. That's what we look at. So Charlie was a Category 4. That was based off its wind speeds. They were higher than 130 miles an hour, so it was Category 4 status. Katrina at landfall was less than 130 miles an hour, but greater than 111, so it was a Category 3. Don't get too caught up in the categories in tropical season. When it comes to hurricanes, tropical storms, always take note. We're coming up to the peak of tropical season, so we have a long way to go.
And check this out. A new study of Mars suggests there may be enough water and cracks and also pores of rock in the middle of the red planet's crust to fill oceans on its surface. The water is said to be located between 7 and 12 miles beneath the surface. Researchers suggest this would be the place to start searching for proof of life on the red planet. Data from a retired NASA mission revealed evidence of the underground reservoirs. And looking for more weather news and content, you can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. Of course, you'll find us there. And also coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how extreme heat can impact your mental health. And we'll head to northern Michigan to see how the weather impacted this year's cherry crop.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have more hazy sun on tap for today. It's haze from wildfire smoke from wildfires out west, of course. Some of that's working into northern New England during the course of the day. On your Wednesday today, as we go to Thursday, notice some of that smoke works its way all the way down into New Jersey, into portions of Pennsylvania. That just sort of dims the sun a little bit. We'll have a lot of sun today. There's a chance for an afternoon thunderstorm. There's a chance for afternoon showers and thunderstorms again on Thursday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Your Wednesday and Thursday will be very similar to what we have been seeing across the area. Mostly dry conditions. The lower humidity has been a very welcome thing to have, but we'll slowly start to see the humidity coming back. No rain chances to come until this stronger storm system out to the west starts to push into the area. That will not arrive until the weekend. In the meantime, we can enjoy some warm temperatures, but low humidity. 70s in the upper terrains, but we'll be in the 80s on Thursday as well.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. About 86 degrees in Raleigh, Charleston, right around the 86 degrees. Macon, 90 degrees. Hot one in Pensacola at 96 degrees. Tampa, 92. Looking at a few spotty showers through the early morning hours around Memphis in the Mississippi Delta. Spotty showers across parts of the Carolinas and across parts of South Florida as we have a little bit of daily heating. But there'll be some sunshine out there, but those temperatures will be hot in those 90s.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
The changing climate means more intense hurricanes and a higher risk for severe weather. Scientists and meteorologists are working to improve current technology and also develop new systems to help stay ahead of those potential threats. Meteorologist Ryan Munn has more.
A changing environment. The biggest impacts we're seeing in sort of a changing climate are on the water hazard side, creating potentially dangerous impacts. Higher rainfall rates, heavier rainfall because a warming atmosphere holds more moisture, and then also sea level rise is increasing the risk of storm surge and coastal flooding in places. As the ocean waters continue to warm and the risk for coastal flooding and stronger storms increase, advancing technology becomes even more essential. Satellite imagery has continued to improve and is one of the most important and useful tools. Over a small sector, say over a developing system or an existing tropical storm or hurricane, we can get imagery every minute or even every 30 seconds. So that allows us at the Hurricane Center to really look at these forming systems and decide, does it have a low-level center that's formed? Where is it exactly located? Which is a real key piece for us to start issuing forecasts and warnings for a tropical depression or tropical storm. It's also very important to collect information at the surface of the ocean. This is where sail drones come in. They are buoys that float on the ocean surface. We can measure temperature, wind, ocean current information, upper ocean information. So we get that data in real time at the Hurricane Center. Can help us analyze where the storm is, how strong it is. This will provide the National Hurricane Center with details on how much energy is in the upper ocean. While flying, the hurricane hunters also drop a device out of the plane to collect data through the air.
This is essentially a weather balloon in reverse. And so we'll drop these out of the aircraft. They collect temperature, pressure, humidity, wind speed, and wind direction data for us. All of that is used in improving the forecast track and intensity for where a storm is going to go and how strong it's going to be when it gets there.
Well, the heat is on with hot summertime temperatures roasting many parts of the country that will stick around for another month or so. And Ethan Trejo reports if you're not careful, the heat can start to cause some mental health issues.
I have a lot of friends, family that just stay inside most of the time. And I mean, ain't nothing wrong with it, right?
You may not have noticed it, but shifts in your behavior may be the result of a mental health illness called seasonal affective disorder. It's a type of depression that usually creeps its way in during the hot summer months.
The disorder affects millions of people.
Adriana McKinnon is a licensed therapist who works at the Children's Bereavement Center. She says one of the main contributors to the disorder has to do with people trying to escape the heat. That means when you keep yourself isolated inside to avoid the sun, you could be putting yourself at risk to develop seasonal affective disorder.
They feel fatigue, low energy, changes in appetite, and mainly loss of interest in activities.
But McKinnon also says that overexposure to the summer heat could cause other issues like irritation and difficulty concentrating. So what's the solution? McKinnon says that it's important to find a balance between getting healthy sunlight and keeping your body levels cool.
Maybe shorter walks, early morning light therapy can benefit to a lot of people. Maintain a regular routine with your sleep hours and also your meals.
We asked some people at Woodlawn Lake what they do to make sure they find a balance.
Go for a run, enjoy the scenery. San Antonio has a lot of places like this. So I meditate. With the sun, it's hard to do that, right? So keep calm, especially when it's so hot, just beaming down on you.
Ask most farmers and they will tell you that there aren't many guarantees in their line of work. Crops can be up or down, and that's just part of their job. But this year was especially bad for the sweet cherry harvest in northern Michigan. Mark Scollett spoke with the farmer about how the weather impacted this year's crop.
Emily Mizio spent more time around cherry orchards than most. She knows well the joys and the heartbreak Mother Nature can deal to growers.
I was probably 7 or 8, and we hadn't gotten rain. We were worried. And then it's time to harvest the sweet cherries, and we have a downpour of rain. And I remember sitting on our porch crying with my dad because we knew we were cracking sweet cherries with that rain.
Fast forward to this year and perhaps more porch tears for lots of northern Michigan's sweet cherry growers.
We had growers right here in Leelanau County that ended up not harvesting any of their dark sweet cherries.
It was a perfect storm of unfavorable conditions, a mild winter followed by a quick warm-up, wind, and oh so much spring and early summer rain.
Definitely there was a loss, and depending on where the orchard is and just these microclimates across the area, some were better than others.
20% of the country's sweet cherries come from Michigan, but this year's dreadful weather for growing means anywhere from 30 to 75% of the crop was lost.
A grower always has hope. I think we have to live with hope and hope that next year will be better. I think that's how we stay in farming, is that hopefulness.
Yeah, you're doing great.
It's armyworm season in the southern U.S., and people are starting to see the impact on their lawns. Gracie Johnson spoke with armyworms. Shows us armyworm signs and possible prevention.
It'll look kind of like drought stress. Your Bermuda grass or zoysia grass, whatever type of lawn you have, will look lighter in color, almost like it's needing water. Also, another thing that could show up would be, extra birds or something feeding on your yard.
Fall armyworm caterpillars damage grass by chewing plant tissue. As the name indicates, fall armyworms usually show up in the late summer or early fall, usually up until the first frost of the year.
They can be up to 1.5 inches long. In lawns, they're going to be the biggest. So they can be light green in color to almost black, and they have an inverted upside down, basically Y on their head.
When it comes to preventing armyworms from damaging your yard,
there's really no way to prevent it. It's just kind of watching out for the signs, and there are ways to treat them.
For treatment after an infestation, he suggests
there's pesticide, recommendations, insecticide recommendations, and there's some other options also that they're pretty easily treated though if you catch them early enough.
As far as at-home methods, Vanderford said there's what they call soap flushing.
You just mix up 2 tablespoons of dishwashing detergent in a gallon of water, and you just pour it over an area that you think may be infected with the worms. And what's going to happen is any insects in that is going to come to the top. That won't really treat them, but it is a way that you can, properly identify them.
Now let's check to see the weather in cities along each of the Great Lakes today. We start in Oswego, New York, along Lake Ontario. It will be a great August day with partly cloudy skies and a high of 78 degrees. Up Next is Erie, Pennsylvania, on the shores of Lake Erie. You'll definitely want to be outside today with sunny skies and a high of 80 degrees. We now head north to Lake Huron and a shot from Mackinac Island. Summer continues on the northern Michigan island with partly sunny skies. Look at that. And a high of 78 degrees. Chicago sits along the far southeast shore of Lake Michigan, and the weather there will be great today, actually, with mostly sunny skies and a high of 81 degrees. And finally to Duluth, Minnesota. Along the north shore of the largest and of the Great Lakes and the second largest in the world, Lake Superior, Duluth is looking, partly cloudy skies today with a high temperature of 73 degrees. And now time for a short break, but first we take flight over historic Fort Rubidoux in Pennsylvania. Is that right?
Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Sarah Converse. Parts of the Midwest dealing with flood watches as a warm front lifts into places like Missouri and Iowa, where we have rain showers and thunderstorms likely for today for places like Kansas City at 89, Lincoln at 86, but dry as we get into Indiana and Ohio as a high pressure system remains in place. And then we see that system continue to track off to the east with rain showers and thunderstorms likely for tonight for Illinois.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather, starting off a little bit on the warm side for our friends in Brownsville, New Orleans. 82 degrees this morning, 70s elsewhere across the region with the exception of Dallas. Got a little bit of a warm front kind of sliding through. That'll bring rain a little further to the northeast. Look for sea breeze showers to move inland all the way from Houston to near San Antonio. Otherwise, going to be another really hot day coming up for the region. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Temperatures are getting back to normal. The Pacific Northwest, the clouds are going to clear for sunshine, and sunshine warming things up back to triple-digit heat for parts of Nevada and also into Arizona and New Mexico. Now, as we get into Colorado, this is where we're going to have some problems with showers and storms, especially coming down the east slopes of the Rockies. Farther to the north, we still have wildfire danger across Nevada and Oregon. That's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
The northern lights were visible in a lot of places recently, including parts of the South. Meteorologist Kit Alexander explains why.
No doubt you've heard a lot about the aurora borealis recently. A couple days ago, there was a severe geomagnetic storm that brought northern lights as far south as Alabama. But let's focus on just one of the many aspects that influence the northern lights, and that's Earth's magnetic field. To describe Earth's magnetic field, think of Earth's core as having a giant bar magnet that extends all the way from the South Pole to the North Pole. This giant magnetic field has an electric field lines that are generated by electric currents caused by molten iron and nickel in Earth's outer core. Now, when a solar storm occurs, fast-moving particles from the sun will then collide with oxygen and nitrogen in Earth's atmosphere to create a chemical reaction, or what is known as the northern lights. So, next time that you see large-scale solar activity, Earth's magnetic field plays a major part in what we see with our eyes.
And looking for more great weather content, you can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Wednesday, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.